Now we have discussed about the roadmap to become data scientist, and we have also discussed what are the skill needed. Now we are going to discuss about our course curriculum overview. Now this is our course curriculum overview that we have already covered session 1, introduction to data science, and we are at this stage. And next we would be picking up R programming, which would be from session 2 to session 7, and then we would be learning about statistics from 8 to 10. Then we will actually get into the actual machine learning knowledge. So the concept would be discussed here, machine learning life cycle and all the other stages, and then slowly we would learn each of those stages, like business case understanding. Then before we build any model, we need to do a lot of data pre-processing, so we would be learning that in session 13. And then we would learning each of the algorithm one by one. So first we would be learning about regression algorithms like linear regression, non-linear regression, all those stuff. Then we would be learning about classification models. In classification we would be discussing about different classification algorithm like logistic regression, SVM, KNN, decision tree, random forest, all those classifier. And then we would combine these knowledge and create a capstone project. And then once this is done, then we would be doing a unsupervised learning, which is like k-mean clustering, hierarchical clustering, and other different unsupervised learning as well. And then in the end we would be doing a association rule mining. So let's discuss this in one level down and why we have structured this course in this way. So if you see that what are the skill set is needed to become a data science professional, there are 3 skill set which I have explained earlier. First thing is about tool. In this case we are learning R. You can learn Python or SAS as well. Now second thing, we are learning about technique. Now in terms of technique, we have to learn statistics and machine learning technique, and then in the end business. So this tool is nothing but to implement all this technique, and this business knowledge is nothing but doing a project where you can implement these technique as well as tool. Now the capstone project requires all the knowledge of statistics, machine learning, R programming and everything else. That is why this is a big project which would take some time. But while learning each of the algorithm in machine learning, we would be also doing lots and lots of projects. So suppose in machine learning, if we have 10 algorithm, for each of the algorithm we would be also discussing about case study. So let's get into one level down and try to understand what are the things we are going to cover. But this is the analogy we have used for structuring our course, and all the skill set would be discussed thoroughly. Now let me go to the actual course curriculum so that you can understand what are the things we are going to cover by video view. Now this part you have done. So introduction to data science is done, where we have discussed about machine learning, introduction to data science, how to switch a career, what are the skill set is needed, that is done. Now we are at session 2. Session 2 we would be discussing about introduction to R, why R is being used and how to set up R in your own machine. Then slowly we would learn the ABC of R language, like what are the operator, loop, function, all those things. Then little bit of advanced like the data structure we would be learning. Like any other programming language, you have to learn the data structure of that language. So similarly R also has those data structures, so we'll be learning about vector, data frame, matrix, array, factor, list, all of them, and we would be taking a lot of example. Then again we would be learning about how to deal with different kind of data set. Now this data science is all about data. So before even you start doing some kind of project, you have to import the data set. Now the data set can be very structured, which can be a CSV format, or it can be a unstructured, which is in a text format, or it can be some web data, or it can be some other database as well. So we are going to learn about how to import different kind of data types in R. Then lot of time you have to export the result as well, because you have to probably send it to your client or some another team, or maybe some visualization team. So we would be learning about exporting data through R as well in session 5. Now in session 6 we would be learning about data manipulation, and this is also one of the important chapter. Why? Because even before you do any kind of model building, you have to massage your data, you have to do lot of different kind of data manipulation. So we are going to learn all those small function. Like if you are coming from SQL background, you would know that how we select, filter, arrange and all those stuff. The same thing you would be also learning, but not in SQL but in R. So we are going to use a very good package called dplyr, and using dplyr package we are going to learn that. Now once the data manipulation is done, then we would be learning about data visualization, and why that is needed, let me tell you. So before that, I need to give you little background about how a machine learning life cycle works. So if you see, this is high level a machine learning life cycle works. So first thing is data preparation, where I was telling you that different kind of data manipulation is required. So the data preparation, once you import the data, you have to prepare the data. Once the data preparation is done, you have to explore the data. You have to see, if you're talking about you want to understand why your customer is leaving you, so you are trying to create a churn model, then you have to understand what are the individual factor or attribute is there which is influencing your customer to churn. So you have to draw those plots and visualization, which we are going to learn in this chapter, which is session 7. So we are going to learn about scatter plot, we are going to learn about line chart, pie chart, histogram, density plot, box plot, all the things, which would be very nice to learn and quite easy as well. Once we cover that, then we have to learn about statistics. Again, why? Because statistics is something which has never changed over the years. If you talk about what is hypothesis testing or p-value or chi-square or ANOVA, all these concepts are there from long time. There has not been any change. So statistics is actually the base for learning machine learning, and we would emphasize on that, and that is why we would be discussing these statistics thoroughly. So we would be discussing about the introduction to statistics, like mean, median, mode and all those stuff, and then we would be actually getting into hypothesis testing. What is hypothesis testing, how hypothesis testing is done, all those stuff in session 9, and then we will slowly move to actually do those hypothesis testing in R. So there are different kind of hypothesis testing like chi-square, ANOVA. We are going to learn all those things in session 10. Now once that is done till session 10, then our base is clear. So again, if you remember where I discussed that this is what we are going to discuss, and once statistics is done, then we will get into machine learning part. And in machine learning part, we have these different life cycle. After data exploration, we would be learning about feature engineering, we would be learning about model building, and we would be learning about model evaluation as well. Now, how we have structured this course, that first we would be talking about the whole life cycle, so that you got an understanding that bird's eye view you have, and then we will target each of these steps and we would complete that. That is how we have structured the course. So now if you go here, session 11 is about machine learning toolbox. So basically that bird's eye view, high level understanding about what is machine learning, how to deal with that, even in this case we would be also learning about what is machine learning, what is AI, what is deep learning, what is the difference between them, what are the different stages in machine learning. All those stuff would be discussed here. Now once that is done, then we will go one by one. So to solve any machine learning project, the first thing is business case understanding, which we are going to do in session 12. Once that is done and how hypothesis creation is also done, we are quite clear, then we would actually go to data pre-processing. Now if you see the structure, the course curriculum structure is exactly the way we have explained the machine learning life cycle. Now we are targeting this data preparation is here in this session 13. Once this is done, data pre-processing is done, then since we have already covered data visualization earlier, so we would just keep that, and then we would directly get into the model building part. Now in model building also we have different kind of algorithm, different kind of technique. We have supervised, unsupervised, reinforcement and deep learning. But in this course we are going to discuss about these two, supervised and unsupervised. In supervised also we have different algorithm, regression, classification. In unsupervised also we have different k-mean, hierarchical. So we are going to discuss all about that. So let's again go back and try to understand what we are going to learn. So session 14 is all about supervised learning regression. Now we first discuss about regression theory part of it. Then we would be learning about advanced, how correlation would come into the picture, how using stepwise regression we are going to solve a regression problem, what is the part of a dummy variable, and also nonlinear regression. These all would be covered in session 14. Then in session 15 we are going to start about logistic regression, which is a classification algorithm. So first we would be discussing about the theory part, intuition. Then we would be learning about R code implementation, and then we would be doing a case study. Now this method is being followed in all the subsequent chapters. So first we would be discussing about the intuition, why do you require logistic regression, where to implement logistic regression, how to identify that whether I have to use logistic regression, all those stuff. Then now once you have understood that, how to implement that in R code. So suppose you have to use GLM function for that. So what are the packages are there, what are the functions are there, and then we would be ultimately doing a case study. Now as I was telling you that in terms of business sense, how you can improve your business sense, the more and more case study or the project you would be doing, your business sense would improve. So suppose for telecom we are going to do a telecom churn case study. So you would be learning about what are the input variable you should consider, what are the output variable you should consider, how you have to do solve this kind of problem. And the more and more this kind of case study you would do, your business sense would also improve. Now that is all about logistic regression in session 16, and the same thing would happen for couple of this session as well. Like for all these, let me go back and tell you how many classification algorithm. So session 16 to 21, all these are different classification algorithm we are going to learn, and the coverage is exactly same. First the theory part, intuition, then R code implementation, then some case study. So yeah, so for session 17 is about KNN algorithm. So first intuition, then R code implementation, then case study. Similarly for SVM, first intuition, R code implementation, and then case study. So I haven't used the same case study all the time, but so that you can compare also, sometime I have used the same case study so that you can also compare how two different algorithms are working on a same problem and how each of them is better than the other. Then naive Bayes, for naive Bayes another case study. Then decision tree, first intuition, then R code implementation, then little bit of tweaking, how to tweak your tree to give create better model, and then random forest. And trust me, these are the algorithm which is very famous in market, and once you learn in this algorithm, I'm sure you would be able to tackle any kind of problem whatever comes in your way. And since you are covering the theory as well as R code part, so it would be quite easy for you to do any kind of project. And since I am also giving you the case study, it would be exactly similar in your real time as well. Now once this is done, you are quite able to solve any kind of project. But still I have created a end-to-end capstone project which is about a Titanic case study from Kaggle competition platform, and starting from the introduction, what it requires, then what are the data we have, then starting from creating a simple model, then prepare data exploration, feature engineering, then model building, then model evaluation, all these things has been done. So the whole machine learning lifecycle has been explained properly in this capstone project. And then once this is done, then comes your unsupervised learning. Now we are going to discuss 3 algorithms here. So first one is k-mean clustering, first theory, then implementation, and then case study. So k-mean clustering is basically kind of cluster your data. If you want to segment your customer, then this is the kind of algorithm you want. But the same thing can be done using k-mean, can be done by hierarchical, or can be done by DB-scan clustering. So we are going to learn all the 3, and basically we are covering the theory, R code implementation, and we would be doing different case study for different use case. And this is going to add a lot of value because we are doing the case study. So that you understand how we are going to do the case study, let me show you one example as well so that you can understand. So suppose this is for lesson 23, k-mean clustering. As I mentioned that first we would be discussing about the intuition, then R code implementation, and then case study. So if you see, first we would be talking about what is this algorithm, what it does for you, and then we would be discussing about step-by-step process, how the algorithm works, because that is very important for your interview purpose as well. Then we would be discussing about the R code implementation. So from here now R code implementation, so we would be doing it here as well as in R, and we would be also sharing the R code files with you so that you can practice it on your own time. Then we would be actually understanding how this algorithm works and the output basically. Once you understand how to implement, then we would be doing a case study. Now the case study is different for different chapter. Now for this chapter we have identified customer segmentation is the one. So this is the data we would be having for our case study, and this is the output we are going to generate from k-mean clustering. So the same thing, same pattern has been used for all these different algorithms, not for this k-mean clustering. So for hierarchical clustering also, if you check, we would be first talking about intuition, then R code implementation, and then some case study. So this is the way we have structured our course. And now let me go back. Once the clustering is done from 24 to 26, then we would be talking about association rule mining. So PCA is also another technique, but which is not for a clustering technique, but it's a dimensionality reduction technique, and this is also very important. So if you have more and more attributes, and if you want to reduce the number of attributes to put into your model, then PCA is being used. So again here also we would be discussing about the theory part, and then R code implementation, and we would be doing a case study. So I can probably give you a little bit of glimpse about that as well. So here we have PCA. First we will be discussing about the theory, and then the intuition, how it works, and then R code implementation, how using R. So if you see, all these are R codes we will be doing in class through R. And then once this is done, then we will be doing a case study. Like this one is wine case study. So we have some kind of data where the number of variable is quite large, and ultimately we would be creating 2 variable. How to do that? We would be doing that in R code implementation, and then probably pros and cons. So as you can understand, it's quite methodically structured, the course overview, and then in the end, association rule mining. So most of the cases where you see that Amazon is actually telling you, if you have bought this mobile, you might be also interested for these case cover or maybe headphone or something. All this is being done by association rule mining. So we are going to discuss about that as well in our chapter 27. So first, how it works, then what is the theory behind it, then ultimately the algorithm, how it works, then R code implementation. So using R, how we can achieve that, and then output. And once this is done, then we would be doing a case study. So yeah, case study is also being done. This is the output from the case study. So now I think you have understood that what are the things we are going to cover and why the course is being structured in this way. Now apart from that, I also want to discuss that you can basically see the folder structure. So for each of these folder, I mean you can actually be having the R file as well as the data set which we are using in that case study. So you can also structure the folder in the same way, starting from the end, and then you can keep all those R files properly. And for any of the R file, I mean you can quickly open that R file and you can actually start working on that as well. So I think this would actually add a lot of value. And if you follow the step-by-step process mentioned here and complete all this chapter, then I think you have all the skill set to become a good data science professional. And one good news that apart from the course curriculum, whatever I have explained, there would be another couple of videos to how to prepare for your interview. So basically, based on session by session, what are the question normally comes in interview and how to tackle that, how to answer it properly. So we would be also creating couple of videos regarding that as well, so that you can improve your skill and you are prepared for your interview as well. So having said that, I want to end this video, and I hope that gives you a lot of context what exactly we are going to cover in the subsequent videos and in these chapters. So again, I welcome you to this course, Machine Learning with R, and happy machine learning.